PNR Networks is a member of Patreon. Show your love for our shows by joining our ongoing fundraising campaign and get some fantastic perks in return. Check it out and become a Patreon sponsor. You can sign up at patreon.com, patreon.com/PNR Networks. And thanks for your support.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
It's Kim versus TC in the battle of the lists.
My list is better.
My list is better.
My list is better.
No, it's not. My list is better.
Kim or TC, who has the better list? From Subject Cinema, this is Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and TC Kirkham.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another week here on Front Row 5 and 10, brought to you by the good people that bring you Subject Cinema. That would be me and him, the me being Kim Brown.
And the me being TC Kirkham. Or the him being TC
Him being
Kirkham.
TC Kirkham.
Whatever.
Something like that.
It's September 12th, 2019 day and date, and we are here with another list for you.
Yes, we are.
We hope you'll get involved by sending us your ideas for lists, because if we use it on the air, on the podcast, you get credit on the show, credit on the site, prize of something, and, fame and fortune forever.
Or at least until we do the next list.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you can send those to frontrow at PNRNetworks.com or subjectcinema at PNRNetworks.com.
Yep.
We hope that you will do so. And so this week was my list.
Yeah.
As you know, we're not telling you what the lists are anymore. You got to call them. You got to listen in to find out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This week we're going to television.
Yes.
And a classic, as we name, dun da da da, our top 10 favorite commercial spokescharacters.
Yes.
These are fictional characters that cannot be real people, although I do have a real person on my honorable mention, because they were playing a fictional version of themselves, which is a little weird, but
Yeah, when we say real people, we mean you can't be...
Not celebrity spokespeople,
right.
These are characters made for the commercials.
Yeah.
So, and these are TV commercials, obviously. So, what were your criteria? You were talking to me about it.
Well, my criteria was just basically that we couldn't use celebrities who are saying, basically the real life version of, hi, I'm Troy McClure. You remember me from such films as Slappy the Wonder Squid and stuff like that. We were actually talking about people playing a character. Right. But they could be animated, they could be live action, that kind of a thing. Right. And they had to be, I decided not to use one-offs. Like a one-time character.
Well, that's not a spokes character. Spokes characters are ones that run over and over and over again. You get to know them.
Well, yeah, but sometimes they would try to do a character as a spokes character, and it didn't work. They only did one of them or something like that, or they changed
if it's memorable,
something.
Then that's okay.
Yeah. Well, there were a few that I just didn't put on here just simply because they irritated me. So that's they don't get an honorable mention or anything. Okay. So there.
All right. Well, this was my list, so
yes.
That means you get to start.
Yes. Well, my number 10.
We're not going to match on very many of these.
Probably not. My number 10 is one that I remember from my childhood, and I also.
You had a childhood? I thought you were born at your current age.
No.
Okay, just checking.
And shut up. My number 10 is Morris the Cat. The spokes cat for the 9 Lives commercials all those years back. And they brought him back. They brought him back again. The cat that they had originally used passed away, years and years back. And I just I've always loved cats. I am a cat person. I've had some people speculate I was a cat in a former life. You eat one raw mouse and people never let you forget it. But I liked Morris because he didn't take any crap. You know, he basically was a real cat. He had the attitude real cats have of, you think I'm eating that? Pfft, as if. And I just liked the fact that he was just real. He just felt like a real cat. And he was cuddly. He was a cuddly kitty, and I like cats, like I said. So, my number 10, Morris the cat from the 9 Lives commercials.
My number 10 is a character that became synonymous with this particular person, and I'm sitting here racking my mind trying to think of her last name, and I can't. So you'll have to look it up for me when I get there. While I'm talking, but
okay.
My number 10 is the woman that you would want to be as your next door neighbor, so you can have a delicious cup of coffee with her. My number 10 is Mrs. Olson from Folgers Coffee.
Oh yeah,
played by Virginia. I've forgotten her last name. The mom on Old Yeller. In Old Yeller.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
She did that character for 15 years with that wonderful Swedish accent of hers.
Yeah,
and
that wasn't real.
And she, well, it was partially real. There was, it was like kindly elderly next door neighbor coming over for coffee advice, and
yeah.
Oh, I always use Folgers. It's the best.
Because I carry it around with me everywhere. Because that's not
and later
weird.
On, she also did a few commercials for Folgers Crystals, although they eventually gave that their own thing. Mm-hmm. This was for Folgers coffee that went into your coffee maker, or your percolator, or your drip coffee maker.
Yeah.
So it was different.
I guess I don't know anything about that stuff. I don't drink coffee.
She was the opposite of Hyacinth Bouquet. Always wondering, always kind and friendly, willing to give her advice about why James never asked for a second cup of coffee at my house. It's an interesting little thing. I don't drink coffee, but I remember her being a part of my childhood. So
it blew my mind when I found out that nice lady from the other coffee commercials was the Wicked Witch of the West. That freaked me out.
Good to the last drop. Maxwell, Margaret Hamilton, Cora.
That blew my mind. I was like, what?
Didn't make my list. I had to choose between the two of them, and I chose Mrs. Olson, number 10, from Folgers.
That completely floored me, though, because I was like, that's the same. Wow.
Well, it's been 30 years since Wizard of Oz had been made.
Speaking of coffee, what's the first thing you think of when you think of coffee? The best thing to go with coffee is obviously donuts. My number 9 is Fred the Baker from the Dunkin' Donuts commercials.
Time to make the donuts.
Yep. Fred was obviously liked his job, but didn't like having to get up at the ass crack of dawn to go in and make the donuts, which at the time when Dunkin' Donuts had these commercials,
Dunkin' was not a national chain yet. They were strictly
they were in New England
chain, although they had commercials on national television. A lot like Sonic did. Yeah,
that's
they
weird.
had those in Washington, too, in Ohio. That was like Sonic did. Sonic has had national commercials for years, even though they're really not a national chain yet. They're only in the...
They're trying to get into other parts of the country.
We finally got a
But
Sonic
Dunkin' Donuts started here in New England. So these felt like our commercials because this was our donut place. Now there's Dunkin' Donuts everywhere, which is neat. But part of the thing that made these commercials so cool and so nice, they were nice commercials. They made me laugh.
They were funny.
Fred. The one that I remember was Fred dressed in drag, in disguise, going to a supermarket and asking them if the donuts were fresh.
Donuts fresh every morning?
And they're like, no, ma'am. And he's like, good.
Kind of obvious since he had a mustache.
Yeah, it's like the mustache kind of gives it away. Just a scotch. But I just like those commercials. I thought they were funny, and they just cracked me up. So my number 9, Fred the Baker from Dunkin' Donuts. Or is it now just Dunkin'? Did they knock the donuts?
It's now officially Dunkin'.
Yeah.
Which is just stupid.
Well, they used to have,
But it's where, although I noticed even on the brand new designer cups they revealed on America's Got Talent last night, they're still DD.
I don't know.
Not just D.
Did my hands get bigger or did their donuts get smaller?
Their donuts are getting increasingly smaller.
Okay, I just wanted to check.
Number 9 on my list is another classic from my childhood. Actress Dina Dietrich played the character, and she also appeared in tons of episodic TV and movies. But you always recognized her because there was always this off-camera announcer sounding smug and, not sure what was going on. And they were always in the woods or in the field. And the woman would be speaking about how everything around her was awesome, including this wonderful new chiffon. And she would eat it. And the announcer would go, it would be, well, she wouldn't call it chiffon, she'd call it butter. And the announcer would tell her, "Oh, Mother Nature, you're so silly. It's not butter, it's chiffon." And she'd glare at the camera, "Chiffon? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature." And it'd be these whole cracks of the wind. And those were, she again played that character for over 10 years. And they were amusing because they always came up like the Roadrunner cartoons. They're alike in so many ways, but there was always something a little different about each one of them.
And they always got that phrase in at the end.
At the end.
Yeah.
So it's not nice to fool Mother Nature. Mother Nature, spokesperson for Chiffon Margarine, played by Dina Dietrich, number 9.
Okay. A couple of my list are actually, I'm lumping in because there's like an ensemble cast in some of these, or we started off with one character, and as we've seen more commercials, we got more and more and more. So my number 8 is Flo and Company from Progressive. You have the always chipper and extremely odd Flo who works for Progressive, and as the commercials kept going and this character got more popular, which is understandable because she's a very chipper, friendly lady who clearly loves her job slightly too much.
Yes, flogging insurance.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to. We started meeting other people that worked with her, like Jamie and all the other people that work at Progressive. And they've kind of branched it out into Flo's family, who all seem like horrible people. That's a Dr. Phil episode right there. But
all right, 3 triggers in one show. This is not fair. All in one freaking commercial.
I think the commercials are really funny. I don't know why. I just find them amusing, and I find Flo seems like a really nice person, and the actress has to put up with a lot of stuff, especially that. The outfit that they have to wear, that all-white outfit and all that. It's going to be impossible to walk around it because you can't get a speck of dust on it. Otherwise, they have to stop and start filming again. Yikes. My number 8, Flo and Company from the Progressive commercials.
Okay. My number 8 is another classic because you grow up with them, and 2 generations grew up with him. He was a fussy grocer who had an obsession with toilet paper.
Are we talking about the same list?
Yes.
Okay.
On tap at number 8, the wonderful,
wonderfully persnickety.
I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name that played him, Dick Wilson, and Mr. Whipple, the spokesperson for Charmin. Charmin is, of course, a toilet paper brand.
Yep.
And his whole thing was he would look around and watch. It started as his first one was him watching a particular customer as she went through the store, squeezing the tomatoes, squeezing other things she's buying, and she's finally squeezing the toilet paper, and he comes over and grabs it out of her hand. "Please don't squeeze the Charmin." And that would continue on for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
He played this.
Over
500 Whipple commercials were made.
You think you'd have a bigger problem with somebody squeezing the tomatoes, because those can bruise.
Yeah.
I can't picture
enough,
how you'd bruise toilet paper.
Interestingly enough, for a time in the 80s, and I was mind blown when I found this out, he had in 2 or 3 commercials in the mid 80s or late 80s, a young teenage redheaded assistant named Jamie. Do you know who played him?
Yeah.
Adam Savage from Mythbusters. I think it's like, oh my God. I went back and looked at him. He doesn't look anything like him.
I just think it's ironic that he played a character named Jamie.
Yeah, me too. I'm like,
that's Alanis Morissette levels of ironic.
Number 8, the always entertaining Mr. Whipple, who also later on would encourage people to squeeze the Charmin.
Yeah.
And they also brought him back a couple of times for anniversary commercials until Mr. Wilson passed away after a long life in his early 80s, I believe, in the early 2000s.
My number 7 on my list of favorite commercial spokescharacters, you just can't help but love this little guy. 'Cause he's just so cute. He's cute. His product is all about bringing people happiness, and you just want to poke his little tummy. My number 7 is Poppin' Fresh.
Oh, I totally forgot about Poppin' Fresh.
You forgot about Poppin' Fresh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
Poppin'
much as
Fresh.
you try to get me to squeal that way.
Well, you have.
Way TMI. Okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
could we not? Could we not, please? The Poppin' Fresh figure from Pillsbury, who was this little, I don't know if he's made of dough or what he's made of.
He's supposed to be made of dough. The Pillsbury Doughboy.
Right, yeah. I don't know how that term came to being soldiers at one point, but anyway. You had this little white lump of dough with his little blue eyes and his little chef's hat, and he's just the cutest little thing. He's just adorable. I don't know. It just feeds into my love of soft, squishy things. I just think that he's just cute. And the fact that he's the spokesperson for something that, is something that people love to do, bake. If you're the type of person like me that loves to bake, and baking to me equals love. Because if you bake things, then you put some of yourself into what you're making, and people eat it, and they're happy, and that's just my take on things. So my number 7 is Poppin' Fresh from the Pillsbury franchise.
I actually had a Poppin' Fresh squeeze toy, a figure, when my mom or somebody got them for my birthday. It was him and his sister, Poppy Fresh. They came in little stands. I wish I'd saved those. They'd be worth a fortune on eBay.
Do you have any idea how much those would be worth now?
Yeah.
They'd be worth a lot of dough.
They were something. I also forgot to mention my honorable
Went
mention.
right by you.
I heard you. I'm ignoring you. I also forgot my honorable mention, so let me get that in before we go to my number 7. My honorable mention is a real person, but he was playing kind of a fictionalized version of himself. And let's face it, it completely revitalized the man's career.
Okay.
William Shatner for his Priceline commercials. At the time he started doing those, he was between gigs after Rescue 911 had ended, and T.J. Hooker was over a decade earlier. And he started doing these gigs, and almost immediately he did them parodying himself and his singing style after appearing on the MTV Video Music or Movie Awards, one of the two, doing the songs of the year in that inevitable style that Bill does.
Yeah, I could have gone the rest of my life without hearing William Shatner's take on Guns N' Roses' You Could Be Mine. Just saying.
Priceline was a brand new company at the time. They hired Bill as their spokesman. He lasted for close to 15 years with a 2-year gap in the middle because they tried to change it and it didn't work and the stock went down, so they brought him back.
They brought him back with Kelly Cuoco
It was that
as
role
well. Yeah.
that led to Boston Legal, or was that the name of it?
Yeah.
Which he won 2 Emmys for as Denny Crane.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I just wanted to bring that in because he's a real person. It didn't really count. That was my honorable mention. William Shatner and Priceline. My number 7, you already mentioned, the world's greatest spokescat, Morris the Cat from 9 Lives. Morris is, he's an icon. I mean, he is the ultimate orange tabby.
He's a chubby orange cat
and the inspiration
with sarcasm
in some ways from Garfield.
Yeah.
Jim Davis
Where
has
have we
actually
heard
said
that
that
before?
before. Garfield, of course, would later take on doing one of the cat foods. I forget which one. But it's 9 Lives. I thought it was interesting that they decided to go a different direction when they introduced 9 Lives dry food. They picked up the rights to use Sylvester from the Looney Tunes. And those were good, but he couldn't hold a candle to the king of cats. Morris, throughout over 200 or 300 commercials over the course of that, both 2 or 3 different cats played Morris over the years.
Right.
They were brilliant, they were funny, and he redefined the term finicky. And it made those commercials a scream.
Yep.
We had a cat for a while that would not eat anything but 9 Lives. We tried everything. Everything. Lightning would not touch anything that wasn't 9 Lives, either sliced or chunky.
Yep.
He would not touch the regular cat food, would not touch the dry food unless it was mixed in.
True.
He would eat it if it was mixed in.
True.
He was a finicky cat. He was our Morris.
He was
Number
spoiled
7,
is what he was.
He was. Number 7, Morris the cat.
I still miss that little guy.
I do too.
My number 6 is a whole group of spokespeople.
Oh, Lord.
Beings. Spokesbeings, I suppose would be right. My number 6 are the Keebler elves from Keebler. Are you seeing a pattern with this? Pillsbury, Keebler? Yeah, I know.
I have very few foods on my list, so it's interesting that you have so many.
Yeah. And all my stuff could qualify as comfort food, I suppose.
Yeah.
The Keebler elves, of course, led by Ernie. The head elf's name is Ernie, because why not?
Ernie Elf.
Yeah, it's Ernest is actually, I think, his full name.
Whatever.
This might be some kids' first introduction to elves outside of Santa's workshop and long before they get to Tolkien's elves or any number of fantasy elves in between. And, the whole idea that these are elves that live in trees and bake cookies, I mean, you could have worse people to look up to, I guess. Or actually down to, because they're actually the shorter version of elves. They're not the tall, slim elves of high fantasy and such. But they obviously like what they're doing, because how could you not? You're a magical being that lives in a tree and makes cookies. How could this be a bad job? And they seem to have fun. The thing that I like about the Keebler elves is they look like they're having fun with their job. And most of us are in jobs, let's be honest.
Their job is to please people.
Well, most of us are in jobs that, let's be honest, we don't go to work singing and dancing every day. And I just like the fact that they do what they like and they like what they do. I mean, there's a saying that if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. And I get the feeling Ernie and company really kind of epitomize that. So my number 6 are the Keebler elves from Keebler, because cookies.
Number 6 has sort of been mentioned by you, but I'm not going to go all over the where that you did. Because to me, the commercials started losing their oomph when they started adding additional characters to the commercials. Oh. My number 6 is Flo from Progressive Insurance, played by actress Stephanie Courtney now for over 10 years.
Wow.
I can't stand Jamie. I can't stand the family. I don't want anything to do with them. Just give me Flo. Flo is funny. Always has been. Okay. Always will.
All right.
The more recent ones that have just had Jamie are really annoying. Like Jamie and the new insurance guy and the 2 teenagers acting like he's a stepfather. That's just out there. Stupid. I'll take Flo any day. Flo is the consummate insurance professional, pushing all different types of Progressive insurance. Mm-hmm. And I will definitely take her over the Progressive box, which is just annoying.
And creepy.
We both agree.
And creepy.
The Phil Hartman sounding character is just like, Flo is fun, Flo is happy, and Flo knows how to sell. And she shows everybody else. But it's still Flo. Bringing Jamie in is like what happened when Hannah came into Maru's channel. Number 6, Flo from Progressive Insurance. And Stephanie, thank you for your wonderful work over the years. You're always funny.
Okay. Number 5 on my list are the M&Ms. All of them from the M&Ms commercials. Well, obviously the focal point of most of the commercials are the red M&M and the yellow M&M.
Which represent plain and peanut.
Yeah. The red M&M usually, I think, is voiced by John Lovitz.
Yep.
And the yellow one voiced by John Goodman.
Yes. At least they were. I don't know if they're still on,
I'm not sure about now.
Started doing
but
them.
Yeah. And they've had other M&Ms that are, and they all have their own personalities. You have some that are friendly, you have some that are neurotic, and I just think they're hilarious. The one that I absolutely love the best is the Christmas commercial. Where
that's why you asked me if you could use the seasonal one. Okay.
Well, yeah, no, actually it's not. But
okay.
Where they're trying to catch a peek of seeing Santa, and the shock of seeing that Santa is real, and Santa's shock seeing that the talking M&Ms are real, make the red M&M and Santa Claus faint. So the only one who's awake for the rest of the commercial is the yellow M&M, who's kind of dim.
Santa?
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious. I mean, it just cracks me up. It's so funny. My number 5, the M&Ms from the M&Ms commercials.
They're good. I didn't have them in my top 10, but they were definitely in consideration. I like them. Number 5, I'm going to swear on this because there's no other way to do it but to describe this particular thing. So you're forewarned. It is the epitome of an idea that they have taken too far and ended up turning it into an endearing, long-lasting character, or characters in this case, when they are trying to define the old phrase, does a bear shit in the woods? The Bear family, the new spokespeople of Charmin toilet paper, they are so funny. I mean, they have done some really good stuff. This last one they've done, the most recent one, with new super soft Charmin, where they're all like moaning, like
they're all smiling while they're rubbing it against their skin.
And then mom comes, oh, this is getting too weird. And then they all go up. And I'm sorry, those commercials crack me up. When I first saw them, I was like, you do realize what this is? And Kim was like, no. And I said, think about it. And she looked at it, and then she thought, and she's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. Does the bear shit in the woods? Yes. Yeah. And they apparently were found doing such and were hired by Charmin. Number 5, the Bear family.
Yeah, the thing is, you and I are adults. I feel very sorry for any parent who then had to explain the gist of that commercial
the kids aren't going to get it
their
anyway.
Child. You know?
The kids won't get it anyway after the first couple of commercials where they kind of implied that old phrase. They don't do that anymore.
No.
Other than the Charmin on the branch. But it's like, they're so funny. They really are.
Yeah. Number 4 on my list of favorite commercial spokescharacters is the Geico Gecko from Geico, the insurance company. I just love the idea that for some reason, I don't know, I mean, I'm assuming they picked a gecko as their spokes creature. Because Gecko and Geico sound alike.
Right,
I
so
would
they
guess.
Can make fun of that, yeah.
Yeah, I would guess. And the thing is, okay, first of all, the gecko has an Australian accent. Because, why not? And, I mean, I'm pretty sure they have geckos all over the world.
I don't know.
I think pretty much anywhere where there's a hot climate. I'm not entirely certain, but what the hey. And just, I love the fact that he gets into all these weird situations where he's talking about how Geico supports the military, and he's in a plane with this pilot that is apparently trying out for the sequel to Top Gun because he's doing all these upside down things, and the gecko sounds like he's going to throw up. I'm like, how can you tell he's going to throw up? He's already green, but I'm ching.
Yeah.
And all this, and he's like visiting all these people that have Geico insurance, or he's trying to get them to get Geico insurance, and they're funny as hell.
Some of the more recent ones have been really weird, though. I gotta be honest. Yeah,
weird but funny still. And he's cute. He's a cute little talking lizard. I'm a sucker for animals. What do you want from me? So my number 4, the Geico Gecko, who I don't know if he has a name or not. They've never said. I just call him that. So.
I think that they needed something appealing, and that's what because they make him so appealing.
Yeah,
that's the way it works.
Because real geckos aren't that cute. I mean, they're cute, but they're. Yeah. I mean, they're not that cute.
Okay,
just saying.
My number 4 is going to get me yelled at, but I'm sorry. The first time I saw this commercial, I completely lost my beep. I couldn't stop laughing for about 10 minutes. The commercial. And I mean, this really is a borderline, because I told Kim, on this, it should be somebody that's known for the commercial. The problem is, with just one ad, this group became so known that you can't forget them because they were just so out there. They had to be memorable, even though they only did one commercial. My number 4 is the Sponge Monkeys from Quizno Subs. This ran for 2 months in, 2001, 2000? Somewhere in there. It was one of Quiznos' first national ad campaigns. And they had a bunch of these shapeless, potato-like looking things screeching, "Quizno Subs! It's really good!" And they're dancing all over the screen. I was busting a gut. Stop glaring at me. Honestly.
I'd like to rebut that.
The Sponge Monkeys, as I've recently discovered from research that they're called.
Why don't you call them what they are? Nightmare fuel.
They were, they pulled them after a month or so because they got so many complaints about them. But it's memorable. People still remember that commercial because it was so oddball. It sucked so badly. It didn't. It was funny. And it put Quiznos in the American consciousness. They were like a really low second place to Subway at the time, and now they're a bona fide competitor. I still, just from my own knowledge of people who do weird stuff like this, I'm still convinced the team at Cartoon Network had something to do with this. The creation and the voiceovers of the Sponge Monkeys just smacks of animator and writer Andy Merrill. I've never been able to find out who was responsible for them. I suppose I should look it up online. It's probably there. But they were just out there. And at the time, Andy was doing a show called The Brack Show for Cartoon Network and TNT. And it was a spinoff of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and it was freaking hilarious. I just love these guys. If you remember them and like them, hats off to you. Number 4, the Sponge Monkeys from Quiznos Subs.
You are a deeply disturbed individual.
I love those. They were so funny.
Ugh. Number 3 is also number 3 actually has a little to do with the one you just said, last one you just said, in the fact that they're not quite normal. They're not quite right, but mine is different because mine is adorable and sweet. Because how in the world can anybody find fault or be upset with a sock puppet with a microphone? My number 3 is Petsy.
He was on my runners up
from the unfortunately defunct Pets.com.
Stuffed things. I love stuffed things.
Petsy was the spokes puppet. He wasn't really a sock puppet. He was a
redesigned sock puppet. We have one actually. We have one we bought.
Yeah,
they were making them and they were on clearance at one of the stores.
And he was a dog that had a little microphone and he would interview people and pets for Pets.com, and he was freaking adorable
and hilarious.
He was so funny and he was so cute. I mean, when I heard Pets.com, died as in when all the the .com bubble exploded. My first reaction was, "What about Petsy?
Yeah.
What's going to happen
to Petsy?" They tried to sell Petsy to another company that used him in one commercial, and it didn't work.
Never went anywhere else. I miss you, Petsy. You were adorable and so cute, and I wanted to kiss.
I'm sure Michael Ian Black misses him too. He did the voice of it, and it's the only place I've ever seen him and I can stand him, except for World's Dumbest.
I wanted to kiss his cute little nose. My number 3, Petsy.
My number 3 you've already mentioned. It's the Geico Gecko. Geico has done so many oddball ad campaigns. And I was sitting here trying to decide which ones, if any, would make my list. The Gecko I knew was going to be on my list. The Cavemen came close. They were funny too. But the Geico Gecko is just your everyday man with an Australian accent in the form of a gecko.
And
he's fascinated by American culture, fascinated by people, and some of them have been out there, and some of them have been fall down funny from beginning to end. Geico this last year had this big anniversary campaign where they were showing a lot of the older stuff, including the original Geico Crazy ad, which was the squirrels causing the accident and high-fiving each other.
Yeah.
And then they've gone on from there. And, of course, the gecko, when he started, wanted to be left alone because he's not Geico, he's a gecko. Eventually, that caught on with viewers, and they made the gecko the full-time spokesman. And he's been doing it for 20 years almost now.
Yeah.
And
he's cute.
He's a great character. He's funny. He's likable. These new ones where people think he's not really there.
Yeah.
Dr. Evil quote's not really there.
Well, the thing is, that's because he works with idiots.
Yeah,
that's the problem when you're it's pretty bad if you're the smartest person in the room and you're a freaking lizard. That's, talk about setting the bar low.
He's going to be a classic forever, and because It's just so well done, and the commercials are always memorable, and they remain the cream of the crop of all the Geico ads. Number 3, the Geico Gecko.
Okay, this is the one I was actually asking you about seasonal stuff.
Yeah, I know what this is too.
My number 2 are the polar bears from the Coca-Cola commercials.
That's what it was. Yep.
That come out at the holidays. I love animals, and I've never been shy about that. And the way that they computer animate the polar bears in these commercials is just amazing.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite one, though, has a guest star. Because
made her cry.
Because, yes, it made me cry. All right, fine. I'm an effing sensitive woman who has effing feelings. I'm a deep wellspring of feelings, damn it. The one that I'm talking about, you have the polar bears in a family, which is not the way polar bears are in nature, but we won't go there.
You just did. Anyway.
And they are, the little baby polar bear is playing, and he stumbles across a ball, which, as it turns out, belongs to a seal. And
more specifically, a baby harp seal.
A baby harp seal, yes.
A white seal.
No, he's gray.
Is he gray?
He's gray, yeah.
Okay, maybe it's not a harp seal then.
Well, it's
white.
No, it's a seal.
Okay.
And it's not a leopard seal, because that would have been
That's
a completely
too big. That
different...
would have been too big.
No, that would have been bad. Considering those can kill humans, yeah. But, so there's this kind of moment where the seal's like, oh, crap. There's like a whole bunch of polar bears, I'm screwed. But the polar bears are all kind of like looking at each other like, oh, it's Christmas.
Have Coke.
Let's put aside our natural instincts to tear this creature apart right now. Let's all have a Coke. And yes, I cried. I thought it was sweet. And it was
sweet. It was really sweet.
And the reason I cried was because I'm like, these are creatures that are naturally supposed to tear each other apart, but they're having a moment of peace and love and kindness. What the hell does that say about us? Uh-huh. So I suppose it was kind of a self-pity cry. But I just like those commercials. They're just sweet. They're charming.
They're fun, and they're the best Christmas campaign that they have.
And I just want to give the polar bear a big squishy hug because it's a big, giant, fluffy white teddy bear. And no, it's not. And I know that. I know doing that would get you killed in real life. But you don't hug polar bears, kids. It's a bad idea. But my number 2, the polar bears from the Coca-Cola commercial.
And just as an aside for the other brand, don't forget Holiday Spice from Pepsi is returning this year. Love that stuff. Anyway. My number 2, I didn't want to overload this list with commercial spokescharacters for cereal. There are so many out there. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, because I could have overloaded this list with like 7 or 8 of them because I love them all. And it came down to 2 that I really wanted to do that I feel are really iconic. One of them that didn't make the list is Captain Crunch, which was voiced for many years by the late Jim Backus. Had a lot of great stuff. But the one that did make my list, he's still an icon. Still going strong after almost 50 plus years as the spokesperson for the cereal, and he's only been voiced by 3 people. I'm not sure who the current one is, but it was originally voiced by Thurl Ravenscroft and then by Lee Daniels.
Yeah.
Was that his name?
Lee Marshall.
Lee Marshall, who was also an announcer for WCW. And you always know that when you have Frosted Flakes from Kellogg's in your bowl, that you're going to have Tony the Tiger by your side because they're great! Love these commercials and more. They started off as just promoting the cereal.
Right.
Now, Tony is used in a lot more positive light where he's promoting family, relationships, sporting, healthy exercise, and a whole bunch of stuff. And it's done just as great as they were. It's not done preachy or hit you over the head like so many commercials like that. It's still classic Tony the Tiger.
That's awesome.
He is a great character and, is the king, as far as I'm concerned, of the cereal spokescharacters. Number 2, Tony the Tiger from Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. And don't forget, for a brief time in the 1970s, his son Tony Jr. was the spokesperson for the short-lived Kellogg's Frosted Rice.
I don't remember those. Okay, well.
Late 70s. It didn't last very long. 2 years, I think.
Guess not. Okay, number 1. The ironic thing on my number 1 favorite commercial spokes character is that I don't use this product. I don't like this product.
Okay.
My number one is the most interesting man in the world for Dos Equis beer. The original most interesting man in the world.
Because he does what he does best, because he does it best before he even knows it. Because he listens to every Subject Cinema and PNRNetworks podcast before they're recorded. And he was the best commercial spokesman because he'd already been doing it for years before they even asked him to do it. He is the most interesting man in the world, number one.
Shut the front door. We actually matched.
I can't believe you had it on yours.
That is brilliant. Oh my gosh, that is brilliant.
Played wonderfully for over 10 years by the incredible Jonathan Goldsmith, who retired in the character in 2016.
Yes, and they have a new most interesting...
No, it went away. They stopped it.
Oh, they did?
They stopped
Good.
it. It didn't work. They had a younger guy doing it.
And we have to bring up something about Mr. Goldsmith.
He's been in everything.
And he has one of this is rarer than unicorn hair. He is an actor that appeared as a red shirt on Star Trek and made it through to the end of the episode. The man is a unicorn.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, for serious.
No, I know that. Just the way you're like...
Well, seriously, I'm sorry, but...
There was just something. It was not necessarily Jonathan, because all he did really was the end bits. The younger man was played by a lookalike younger actor. I've forgotten his name.
Well, sometimes it was him, though.
It was him, but most of the time it was a younger actor that looked like him.
Yeah.
But Jonathan mostly was his whole thing was just the last 10 seconds of the commercial. I don't always drink beer, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis. I prefer Dos Equis. And then stay thirsty, my friends.
They also had a couple of them where he would be like, he would give some sage advice where it was just him at the table, and those were great.
They were. But, I mean, you go through, you can find a list of some of the most
Bigfoot.
Outrageously hilarious things they did with
Bigfoot has pictures of him.
Yeah.
And all this stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I do drink beer occasionally, but I've never cared for Dos Equis. I've had it
I don't drink beer at all, so.
But that character was brilliant, and he just kind of took off. He came out of nowhere on the sports circuit one year, and just exploded. He was so much fun.
He radiated
and you could tell Jonathan really enjoyed playing the character.
Yeah. I mean, when we saw Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, and we get to the end of the movie, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but you need to because it's awesome, and we find out that his brother is Andy Garcia's character because he shows up at the end of the movie, and we're both sitting there in the movie theater. Hey!
How did you get back from the moon?
Yeah, it's like, it's the most interesting man in the world. This movie just got 90% better and it was already awesome.
Yeah, it is a great movie. And it's a great commercial series.
Yeah.
Some of the things they came up with were just a riot.
Oh, I know. They were so funny. And they wouldn't have been half as funny if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
So my number one.
And my number one.
The most interesting man in the world.
Played by Jonathan Goldsmith for Dos Equis beer.
That is hilarious. You're the one that was like, oh, we're not going to match on anything.
I know, we actually matched on 4 or 5. I'm surprised.
And then we got a dead match on the last one. That's hysterical.
Well, I got to be honest, I didn't think you'd pick him. I don't know why. I didn't think he would be in your psyche because you don't drink beer.
Well, I know, but I love those commercials. That commercial would make me want to drink beer, except that I know what beer tastes like.
If you were to take a beer commercial, I would have figured you would have picked the Budweiser Clydesdales. Or the Budweiser Frogs. They were both popular.
I don't know.
They were funny.
The frogs were all right.
Yeah.
They just...
The Clydesdales are beautiful.
The Clydesdales are beautiful. They're beautiful, beautiful animals. And I've actually stood close to a Clydesdale. They're like the Andre the Giant of horses.
There's a Clydesdale doing the cart rides downtown.
Yeah.
Because it's huge. I mean, it's...
They're like, wow, how is this thing a horse? They're so big.
Okay, run down your list.
Yes, my list, Morris the Cat from the 9 Lives commercials. Number 9, Fred the Baker from Dunkin' Donuts. Number 8, Flo and Company from Progressive. Number 7, Poppin' Fresh from Pillsbury. Number 6, Keebler Elves from Keebler. You see a pattern here. Number 5, the M&Ms from the M&Ms, and the hits keep on coming. Number 4, the Geico Gecko from Geico. That's confusing. amusing. Number 3, Petsy from Pets.com. Number 2, the Polar Bears from Coca-Cola. And number 1, the most interesting man in the world from Dos Equis Beer.
My number 10 was Mrs. Olson from Folgers. Number 9, Mother Nature from Chiffon. Number 8, Mr. Whipple from Charmin. Number 7, Morris the Cat, 9 Lives. Number 6, Flo from Progressive Insurance. Number 5, the Bear Family from Charmin. Number 4, the awesome Quiznos Sponge Monkeys. Number 3, the Gecko from Geico. Number 2, Tony the Tiger from Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. And my number 1 as well, the most interesting man in the world from Dos Equis Beer.
That's funny. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. We
really
do have one mind sometimes.
We hope you'll keep in mind that we need your support to keep this show and all of our other shows going, because we depend on you. We don't do advertising, and we want to do more things for you, but we need your support. So please become a Patreon patron. Get your name on the site, get your name on the shows, and for being nice enough to donate. Our plans start at $2 a month and go on up and up and up as far as they can go. And you get all kinds of cool perks with it as well. You can take a look at what we have to offer and sign up to support this show and all of PNR Network shows and podcasts and sites at patreon.com/PNR Networks.
Yep. And we hope that you will check out the other shows that are a part of our little island of misfit toys. You can find all of them on our website, the shows that we do, the shows that are part of our family from other people that are, that have their own shows, and they're all awesome people, and we hope you'll check them out.
Subject Cinema, Front Row 5 and 10, that's this show.
Yep. My shows.
And Ring Around the Rosie.
Yep. And your show, Catastrophe Vortex.
Plus my mini shows, 3 Minute Weekend and Tuesday Digidex. And Kirkham Report stuff when I'm doing it on YouTube. And
also Eric and Valerie over at Cavebabble, and Anthony Lamberti on Ampy's Nerd Grotto at YouTube.
And we also want to call your attention to our dramatic productions, which now have a new name. As of October, you can come listen to our latest episode in late October under our new auspices on our dramatic stuff. Your Imagination Theater. Woohoo! And that right now includes 2 previous productions. Manhattan Hammerdown, As It Happened, produced for the 10th anniversary of Cloverfield, and our 2018 take on War of the Worlds in honor of the 80th anniversary of the Orson Welles presentation.
Yes.
And in October, we have an all new Halloween scary Your Imagination Theater presentation.
Something to look forward to. And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, you can follow me at PlatinumRoseLady at Twitter.com.
And I am at PNR Network. I'm at eCinemaOne and eCinemaBoston on Twitter. And you can also follow me for music information at TKR Online. I don't even have my own initials, apparently.
You'll get it there eventually. So I think that's going to do it for this week for another episode of Front Row 5 and 10.
And don't forget, we'll have the what we're doing next week at the top of next week's show. We want you to come in and contribute by writing to us at Front Row at PNRNetworks.com or Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com. Now, before I rudely interrupted you.
That's okay. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham.
And we hope we can count on you to come back next week and help us count up another list here on Front Row 5 and 10.
Count on it!
You've been listening to Front Row 5 and 10 with Kim Brown and T.C. Kirkham.
Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.